Hey everybody, it's your man Tight coming to you with another true spook story. Now, before we begin, let me ask that you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share me with your friends and family. Go ahead and hit that like button and share me now. I'm worth it. These stories are worth it. All right, without any further ado, today we're going to be talking about a young lady from the Orlando area, and her name was Washington D.C. It's a reason her name was Washington D.C. and I'm just using her street name. But the people from Orlando who understand who Washington D.C. is and they hear this, they gonna know who I'm talking about. But just to save a little anonymity, I hope I said that word correct. We'll just refer to Washington D.C. for here. Now, this story is gonna take place in the Orlando, Florida area, right off of Richmond Heights. It's going to be in the Richmond Heights area off a street called Kirkland and Willie Mays. Kirkland, if you go up Bruton Boulevard, from LB McLeod Road, and you hang a left down Kirkland, and you keep going straight, the road will curve just a little bit. And when the road curves just a little bit, you run into Willie Mays Park, and that's where you got to park at. A lot of rough shit happened over there back in the day, which I'm going to tell you some stories about that too. But yeah, so that's where we at. So the story is going to go back a little bit further. So the story is going to be about Washington, D.C., the chick in question, but it's more so going to be about her mother and her grandparents. Now, Washington, D.C.'s mother, before she was born, she was a lady out there heavy on the streets and the drinking and drugging, fucking off with random dudes, different type of shit. Her mother name was Evelyn. So just keep that in mind. Her mother name was Evelyn. So instead of me saying her mother, I'm going to refer to her as Evelyn, y'all. So Evelyn, who is Washington, D.C.'s mother, was heavy into the streets. Drug, drinking, crack, all that stuff. Well, Evelyn's parents was really, disappointed in her. They didn't like her out there in the street doing that, doing this. So they used to always tell her, oh, I wish we had a daughter we can love. I wish we had a daughter we can respect. Wish you had a daughter we can do this. Now, during that time, Evelyn was out in the street, because she was out in the street since she was like 17 on up to her, 30s and shit. So she was out in the street. She had, sired about 4 kids. Now, by her siring these about 3 to 4 kids, out of the kids, she had 3 boys and 1 girl. Now, before I get into the story about the girl who is Washington, D.C., before I get into that, Evelyn was just wild. I mean, and she knew it. Everybody knew it. Everybody knew her. Even as a kid growing up, I was a youngster, and she was older than me by like 10 years. 10, 11 years. We heard about a legendary party starter. When she come to the house, she bringing money. She had a pimp. She was just the life of the fucking community, and she knew how to get down. So Evelyn mother and father would always insult this lady, put her down, always tell her that she wasn't shit, how they can't stand her. And so one day they came to grandmama and they say, we need a spell done, to make our daughter act right. So by grandma being the witch lady of the community, grandma say, okay, let me see what I can do for you. Whoop, whoop, and doodle-doo, boop, boop. So grandma goes in there, she get her little mat, and she get her little book that she kept everything in. And she say, I'll get back with you, give me 2 days, and I'll let you know the price, if it's a price, and such as on. So it took grandma about 7 days to come up with the proper spell and to come talk to the people. So when she went up there and talked to the people, she say, okay, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, this is what we got. So grandma sit him down in the house and explained to him 100%. We can't take away the drug addiction. We can't take away her mind. We can't bend her will. Say, but what we can do is make you have a better daughter. Now, y'all keep that in mind. My grandma said, we can make you have a better daughter. So they were like, okay, cool. They didn't read the fine print. So grandma explained to them again in detail. I mean, I was there because I used to always be there with grandma's spit cup and shit. So they like, yeah, they agreed. So grandma said, well, certain part of this thing I can't do. One of you guys gonna have to do it. I'm gonna walk you guys through it. I'm gonna do my part, bring the spell over here, and then you guys are gonna have to finish it, but I stay here and walk you guys through it. Everything was a go. So grandma went home. She did her thing. It took her about 30 days to do her part in it, because I seen grandma feeding it, seen grandma sprinkling this. I seen grandma taking the hair she had got from the lady, putting it on the spell and in the bag and all that shit there, and she was dropping wax and she was just doing her thing. I seen grandma do this 100%. So now grandma say, tight, let's go. So I went in there and I got the box and everything, and I'm toting it because grandma always had me tote all the magical shit. I guess because I was innocent at the time. So we go over there to the house, and I'm finna get into the eyewitness what happened. So I'm gonna tell you the spell that the addition or the spell that the grandparents did with the spell work grandma did. So I walk in there, I sit it down, we go in their backyard. They had a closed-in backyard. They lived in a little blue house, a gray house, or something like a greenish bluish house. So we go in there, they got a little privacy fence up. I sit it on the ground where grandma tell me to. She say, okay, Tyke, you stand your ass right there on that porch and you don't leave that porch no matter what. Don't step your foot in this grass no matter what. You stay on that porch. If I fall, don't you try to help me up. If they fall, don't you try to help them up. You let their ass sit there. They got to get up on their own. It was so true. I understand why grandma said that. So grandma go down there and she burn her candles and she start talking and chanting, and she walking out and she's rubbing oil on each one of their head. And she rubbing oil on each one of their heads, and she has this like metal bicycle chain that you would tie a bike up with back in the day in a padlock. And she is like putting the padlock around these people's neck, and she would link it, clink, clink. Then she'll take the second chain, put it around the lady neck, clink, clink, ching, ching, lock them together. Then she take a long chain and she'll like wrap up the box. It was still open, but she would wrap the chain around the box and she would chink, chink, lock that. So when she did that, she had all like looking at the box and holding her hand over the box with the lady's stuff in the bag, the effigy of the lady, underwear, hair, period bloods, all that shit. All what they got from their daughter was in that box, and they was in their backyard with chains latched to it. 3 locks now, one on the husband, one on the wife, and one around the box. Now, why they was out there chanting and doing that for like a couple hours, all of a sudden, the old man, the granddaddy, his knees start buckling. He starts shaking, going sideways. So I instinctively went over to, catch him. Like, old man finna fall and hurt himself. Grandma, and I remember grandma say, don't you step your foot in this grass. I said, okay, I won't. So I rushed. Grandma like pointed her finger at me without even looking at me. She said, you stay, nigga. So I stayed. So the old man, he dropped first. Boom, he fall. The chain was so tight around his neck and around his body that when he fell, he brought down the wife. So they fell. So now they on the ground convulsing and shaking and shit. You hear the chains rattling. But all while they doing that, all while they moving around, swerving on the ground and shit, the box didn't move. The box with all the lady shit in there didn't move. And grandma went over there and she got a stick and she kept poking the box like, why the fuck you ain't being shook up, box? So then grandma said, oh no. Listen there. Grandma said, oh no. And when grandma said, oh no, I'm like, what, grandma? And she said, that lady pregnant. Say, she with child. Say, that bitch finna give birth. Oh, we shouldn't have did this spell. She pregnant. They should have told me that. Listen to me good. When grandma found out that the lady was pregnant with child and they were doing this spell on her, grandma face turned white and grandma got real sad at this shit. And grandma like, oh my God, what did I do? What did I do? What did I do? She like, this is not the spell for this one. This is not the spell that they paid for. This is not what we should do. So grandma had a big fear in her eye. So grandma kept doing the spell because you can't stop in the middle of spell work no matter what's going on. You have to see that shit through. So grandma finished the spell. So the people got to their feet and grandma said, the first one of y'all who unlocked this lock, gave him the key, everything. She gave them each the key to each lock and the key to the lock of the box with all the daughter stuff in. She say, who gonna unlock this box first? She say, now if whoever unlocked this box first, this is the price. This is who's gonna pay the price for, this spell work spiritually. Everybody know the game when you're doing hoodoo magic, spell work and shit. So the daddy, which is the granddaddy to Washington, D.C., and the father of Evelyn, he say, I got it. I'm hot. He breathing heavy. So he goes down there and he unlock his lock first. Then he unlock his wife's lock. Then he goes and unlock the lock on the box, or like around the box. So grandma asked him to say a quote about, not breaking chains, but binding chains. Because once he took his lock off that box, once they took the lock from around the box, grandma told them to take the chains that was around their neck and wrap it around the box to cover the box up with the chain. And then each one had to lock it back. Boom, boom, clink, clink. So the husband wrapped his chain around the box. He put his key and he locked it. The wife went, listen to me, the wife went to wrap her chain around and lock it, but the husband ended up locking hers too, just out of mistake. And you can't unlock. Grandma said, once it's locked, don't you do it. So the extra chain that was sitting there on the ground, grandma took that and told them they need to put that chain up and they need to tie that box outside their house, like wrap it in plastic, waterproof it, however, seal it, whatever. Say it needs to stay here in that chain that represents your daughter, that was wrapped around your daughter's box. It need to stay chained up. Don't fuck with it. Don't move it. You can put it in your house. You can hide it, do whatever. It stays. Now I'm finna stop it right there. Now I'm finna get back on the Evelyn in Washington, D.C. So the ritual was done. Keep in mind, grandma realized the girl was pregnant in the spell when this box wasn't moving because it was two souls anchored in that woman. And although they tried to lock the daughter in to stop her from doing nothing to keep her home, it didn't work like that. The spell went ahead and it kept, the spell had to choose who to keep home, the daughter or the baby inside the lady. Just it is what it is. This shit ain't pretty sometimes, and I'm just being 100%. I wish I could make this funny, but I can't right now. Because this is serious shit. I'm remembering it, and I'm reliving it right now. So, the husband and the wife did what they did. Me and grandma backed out of it. Grandma used to check on her because she checked on her work. Everything going all right. Everything doing good. Yeah. Evelyn getting off them drugs. Evelyn been going to church. She gaining the weight back. She working at the Holiday Inn up there on West Colonia. She doing her thing. Grandma say, okay. Say, did she have that baby yet? And they were like, how you knew she was pregnant, a gunja? And then, like, did she have a baby? Like, yeah, she had that baby. She done had that baby. That baby in here with us. We take care of that baby while she get herself together. Cool. Grandma said, okay, cool. Everything right. Baby born healthy. Grandma okay with shit. So 5, 6, 7 years pass. Evelyn get back on the drugs because the baby got a conscience now. The baby can talk, walk, and move. Baby like 5, 6, 7 years old. So after the spell, 7 years, clean, nothing. She gets back out on the street, drugs, drinking, fucking, doing whatever. Now, Miss Evelyn ended up, again, passing away over a heroin overdose in a crack house in Richmond Heights. It's in the news. She was found in a dead or some crack house overdose, heroin overdose, whatever. She was found dead in the house in Richmond Heights area. Now, Washington D.C.'s mama done died. Evelyn dead. The grandma and grandpa say, okay, well, I got a daughter. Keep in mind, the spell grandma did was, I can't stop her from doing nothing, can't break her will, but grandma told him in the council session, but I can give you a better daughter. I could give you a better daughter. So that's what the spell did. It nursed her and kept her right until she got up there and she passed away. So now the old people got a daughter. But the binding spell was done on both the mama and it was done on the mama while she was pregnant with the baby. So it's finna get a little creepy now, y'all. Work with me here. This shit ain't for the faint. It ain't for the weak now. If y'all going in this southern folk magic, my grandma taught me some shit. I can do something similar to this, but I never do it. I never fucking do it. So, Miss Evelyn passed away. Now her daughter growing up without a mama. All the other kids Miss Evelyn had, they all turned out to be bad seeds, going to prison here and there. Whoop, whoop, hurdles, murders, killers, all that shit. Just no hope for society's good greatness. So the girl grows up. So Washington D.C. grows up, and she become a very attractive young lady. You know, ass, tits. She was that thing. Now, you know, I seen her. She was younger than me. She was younger than me about 10, 12 years younger than me. So I used to see the girl as an adult when she like in her early 20s, like 24, 25. I'm an old head now. So I'm seeing it, I'm like, damn, sister thick. But I knew who she was because, you know, these old folks used to come and get work done by grandma. But I never wanted to fuck with her because I always knew that her grandma and them kept her ass in a shoebox. But I ain't know what they were doing with that box. I ain't even speculate on it. So Washington, D.C. ended up meeting this real attractive dude. Dude was going somewhere. We knew he was going somewhere from school. We knew it. Motherfucker was athletic, good looking, and he loved that girl draws. He loved her ass. He loved that girl. He said, hey, I need for you to move to Seattle, the Space Needle. I know he used to love talking about going to play with the Seattle Seahawks and shit. He was that dude. He loved their colors and everything back in the day. So he was like, hey, I'm on a football scholarship. You know, let's go to Seattle, move to Seattle with me. She had packed all her clothes and they were finna hit the train, Amtrak, heading up that way. And all of a sudden, she just couldn't move. She got in the car. She just couldn't drive outside of Richmond Heights off the road where her grandparents lived. And she got out and she picked a big fight with him. So he was like, well, I can't miss my bus, my ticket. I gotta go. You know, think about this shit. I'll come back and get you. He goes up there. He started his football career at the college, et cetera, athletic, academic, scholarship, however they did him. So he come back after about a year, and he coming back to come get his woman. By then, you know, Washington, D.C., she fucking now. She done went down. She doing weed now, and she drinking heavy, but she still a pretty girl. So he like, hey, baby, let's go and get up here. And he even saw through that shit, and he like, so she was like, okay, I'm ready to go. We finna go this time. Ain't shit here for me. I'm working my ass off. I ain't go to college. I'm just working at a job. I think she working at Church's Chicken. And she like, I'm working a job. Let's go. So she went home, told her grandparents, hey, I'm finna move to Washington. I'm finna move to Seattle. And if I'm not mistaken, Seattle is in Washington. Ain't that some shit? I just put that together while I'm telling the story. Back to the story. So she told her grandparents, you know, I'm finna move to Washington. And her grandparents like, no, you can't leave me. My back hurt. You can't leave me. And she like, unless y'all, because she had got real rude to him, you know, unless y'all bitches gonna die tonight, I'm getting out of this bitch in 7 days. I'm finna be with my man. He love me and ain't shit here. I'm just fucking around with these stupid ass niggas here. And so grandma and grandpa start tripping and they were arguing and shit. So she go to my grandma and she say, you know, hey, Miss Agunja, say that, do you have any protection spell I can take up there with me? Because I'm getting ready to go somewhere with my boyfriend. You know, we finna start a life. So grandma say, okay, yeah, baby, let me give you this protection bag. So grandma gave it to her on the house, like it wasn't nothing. So I'm like, okay, cool. So, she had to walk past me, and I say, okay, your old boy finally came back and got you. I say, you got it good. So I'm sitting out there flirting with it, just trying to, passing the time. I ain't trying to screw her nothing. I'm like, girl, you thick too. I say, he gonna have him one. Yes, Lord. And I say, shake it for me as you walk away. And she just laughing, bum, 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 bum. That type of shit before that thing became trendy. Nowadays, Lion King and shit was out there. So she happy, she feeling good on 10. She go back around there to her grandparents' house, find out the granddaddy done had a stroke, incapacitated, died of a heart attack. The grandma said, oh, you killed him because you startled his heart. You scared him. Y'all remember what I said. You killed him. You startled his heart because you scared him. So now she feeling like shit. Now I can't leave my grandma alone because she ain't got nobody. Keep in mind, the grandma said, she told the grandma, unless one of y'all die, and I'm going. So then the granddaddy end up dying. So now Washington, D.C. is stuck. She sad. She called him, hey, man, I ain't going with you. My granddaddy just died. Can't leave grandma. Grandma happy and content. They chilling, they hanging. She ain't even care about the dude buried the old man and all that shit there. So grandma always say this spell didn't sit right with her. So grandma go around there and say, hey, your husband died. Are you guys ready to let that box go? Untie that box and, because your oldest daughter dead, passed away. And they were like, no, I want to keep the box. Grandma knew when the old lady said, no, I want to keep that box just like it is. Grandma knew, and mark my word, grandma knew that there had been a soul exchange. When I say a soul exchange, there had been a true soul exchange. Grandma had performed a soul exchange ritual to which the granddaddy had paid the price for it, because you have to pay for a soul to put a soul in another person's body. And that soul that leaves out that body, that soul goes to be replenished or goes somewhere else. It goes into another family. It get all into the esoteric shit. So grandma knew that the old lady knew that she wasn't just keeping her daughter in that box, she was keeping the granddaughter in the box too. So grandma like, oh man, I can't change it. And grandma said she can't force nobody to do something. So grandma knew. Grandma gave her little girl a bag of protection. But that bag of protection didn't work. So now the granddaddy done passed away. And this is where it gets sad. So Washington, D.C.'s little boy that she was tripping on, that she really loved, he went and lived his life, and he went back to Seattle, Washington. And he up there living his life, then got married, did everything. Washington, D.C. started doing the same thing Evelyn, her mama, was doing. Drinking, drugging, prostituting, getting sick and shit, But she never had babies. And everybody was like, why, you fucking all these niggas raw. Why you ain't making babies? What the grandma and granddaddy put inside the spell box is they didn't want no more grandchildren. They just wanted a daughter. They didn't want a grandchild. They wanted a daughter. But when they found out she was pregnant, so to say, when they found out she was pregnant, it was kind of like a bonus. They getting their daughter back. But they didn't want the grandbaby at all. I'm telling you some shit. They didn't want the grandbaby at all. What they wanted was their daughter. So the daughter that died, 15, 20 years after giving birth to Washington, D.C., that soul came back into that body. And when that soul had a new body, it began drinking and drugging and doing the same thing it was going to do. Because now it ain't bonded no more. It's don't have its own body, to which that's what we bonded the lady to. But her baby was a fresh soul churning in her stomach, and that was a free ticket because nobody bonded. Now, so long story short, the mama, Evelyn, and soul got into Washington, D.C. body, And Washington, D.C. had respect. Washington, D.C. stopped existing. When the granddaddy died, that was the price that was paid for the mama's soul to get into the daughter's soul, body. And when that mama got into the daughter's body, it was more like, okay, yeah, bitch, I can drink and drug. This a young body, fine. I can fuck more niggas. I can do this right here. Woo, woo. As the damn daughter passes, as the daughter grow up and all that shit, the daughter life go to shit. Drinking, drugging, can't keep a man, but she was barren. She never had babies. Never had any babies. To this day, she ain't got no babies. So when you talk to her, she always talk about how she's going to Washington, Seattle. She's stuck. And she always like, yeah, I got a house in Washington. I got a house in Washington. And that's kind of what I thought people were calling her, Washington, D.C. Because she always used to speak about going to the state of Washington, hanging out in Washington. I could have went to college in Washington, Howard. She could have went all that shit. She always saw, to this day, she work at she was working at Chuck E. Cheese off I Drive and shit. To this day, I think that's what she working right now. Chuck E. Cheese at I Drive or some shit, a CC's Pizza. No, it's a little kid shit. Right off of I Drive, International Drive here in Orlando. To this day, I could walk up there and look at the bit. And she always talk about going to Washington. Her street name is Washington, D.C., because that's all she talked about. But remember when Grandma said, whoever locked this lock first, they will be the first one to pay the price. The granddaddy passed away, and then the lady came back and inherited that girl's body. Now, throughout all that shit, the grandma come and say, hey, Agunji, grandma went to her and said, hey, do you want me to want me to clean this daughter up like I did the other? Because grandma was desperately trying to undo what she did in some form of fashion. Nope, we're going to keep her just like that. So grandma asked me, hey, could you go around to her house? I'm finna take her to the nail salon. Could you go around to her house and just get that box for me? Grandma always felt bad. And I said, I'll sneak in now. So grandma thought they left the box outside. So grandma took her to the nail salon, and grandma desperately talking to her, trying to get her to undo this shit, because grandma knew that lady wasn't supposed to be in her daughter, that lady's soul wasn't supposed to be in her daughter's body, and grandma really felt shitty about this spell. So grandma take her out. I was creeping in the backyard. I'm looking for the box where grandma told me they set it about 15, 20 some years ago. It wasn't there. So I say, let me go in the house. So when I went in the house, I'm creeping in the house. We ain't had cameras and shit. So I'm creeping through the people's house. I walk past the house. Shit smelling like mothballs and shit. So I go in the room, the grandma room and shit. And when I go in the room, I kid you not, people, I can't make this shit up. I see the granddaddy standing by the closet with his hand on the box. And that motherfucker was staring directly at me. He didn't say a word to me. I didn't say a word to him. Because the granddaddy had passed away, been buried now. That motherfucker was a full body apparition, holding the box, looking at me, basically telling me, this box ain't going nowhere. Get your ass out. Man, I broke out that bitch like a Hebrew slave running from Pharaoh. I was out of that bitch. I jumped the gate, told grandma that old man still living. She said, oh man, both of them know what they doing. They binding that baby there, because they both went at it. So after that, grandma said, well, we just got to leave it. And to this day, people, I could see that sister working these odd jobs around town, drinking and drugging. When you talk to her, she always going to mention going to Washington, D.C. It's been over 20 years. That girl, like 36 now, something like that. And she's still sitting out there talking about Washington, D.C. And that's what we call her, Washington, D.C. to this day. But her real name, deep down in her soul, is Evelyn, because it's the mama. And that body has been shared by two different people. Sometimes the mama will recognize me. Sometimes the girl want to sit up there and do mollies and shit. Sometimes she want to snort coke. But then she always come back to drinking, and she always keep a job working, and she never had any babies, but she always talking about going to Washington, Seattle, Washington, D.C. So that's the fight. That's the story. The mama inherited the daughter's baby due to that spell grandma did, and grandma didn't know that the lady was pregnant. So grandma helped them trap two souls in one box. And when the granddaddy died, a soul had to be somebody paid for it. And the motherfucker, that was the payout. And then the lady was able to come back in and inhabit her daughter's body. And the grandma and them still do that. Now these people are very old, and the grandma is still living. They don't live in the same place, but the grandma is still living. The grandma called her daughter. The grandma never called her by her real name, which I'm not gonna say here. And the grandma don't call her Washington D.C. The grandma called her by her first daughter name, and she answered, which is that girl's mama name, Evelyn. All right, everybody, I'll let you guys figure out the details of this story. I don't know if it was scary, creepy, or just entertaining, but the only thing I can tell you about this motherfucker is real. All right, everybody, I'm tight. Telling you guys, watch who you cling on to, because they just might cling back to you. Take care, everybody. Stay safe.